Hi everyone, it's Elizabeth from Elpis Astrology at elpisastrology.com. So I've got a couple events coming up for folks that are in the San Diego area or folks that want to travel in to see me. On the 9th of August, I will be participating in the San Diego Astrological Society bazaar that they have. And it's really a volunteer event where people can come in and get either tarot readings or astrology readings or combinations of things in that area, the metaphysical area, on that day. I'll put all the details below in the text box here for you as a reminder. But if you did want to come out and meet me, feel free to do that. I'm also going to do another event on the 13th of September. Again, I'm going to put the details here. Again, at the San Diego Astrological Society, where I will be giving a lecture and talk on Mercury, Venus, and Mars retrogrades and what they mean and how you can look at them from your standpoint as well in your chart. I will be recording that as a video, and I'll post that on my site at some point in September too. But feel free to come and support the San Diego Astrological Society and say hi to me too. I look forward to that. So thanks for joining me today. This is my video. It's going to be a shorter than usual video, but this is for the astrology. And then subsequently I'll do your horoscopes for your sun signs and or ascendants. But this is for August 2024. And I'm just going to cut straight to the chase. This is the first time that I'm not going to be doing the moons in chronological order because the most important moon of the month is going to be the full moon in Aquarius. So I'm going to talk about that first, then we'll dive into the new moon that starts at the beginning of the month. I'll give you a peek for September, and then towards the end of this video, I will give you your own personalized, from a general standpoint, your sun sign and or your ascendant. You can certainly look at both. So let's go into it. So here we have this full moon in Aquarius. It will be at 27 Aquarius, 15 minutes on the 19th of August at 11:26 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time. Now, we are going to have a Mercury retrograde still occurring around this time. In the USA, as of right now, the Democratic National Convention is slated to start on the 19th of August in Chicago. And so I would say there's going to be some big surprises going on here for sure, because we have actually two T-squares going on, which means that there's a number of squares themselves, right, that'll be affecting this day. And typically I've found, or historically with either clients or just, in the mundane universe or world, a lot of times these things that are going to happen that are, say, explosive or unexpected out of the blue can happen before the full moon itself. Yeah, and I'm thinking that that may happen, whatever is going to come out of this may first start showing itself around the 14th or 15th of August. I'll touch on that in a minute. Let's get back to this full moon. And so at this full moon, we have the moon in Aquarius, and then of course, as with all full moons, we have the sun in the opposite sign, and that's of course 27 degrees of Leo. So both the moon and the sun form a square with Uranus, almost exact, in Taurus. We have the sun also conjunct a Mercury retrograde. And so then we know that if the sun conjuncts this Mercury retrograde, it is going to be opposite the actual full moon itself in Aquarius, right? The other things that we have going on are Mars is going to be conjunct Jupiter, and they're both in Gemini. Just straight off to have that. It is part of a grander T-square, but just the Mars conjunct Jupiter is, like, I would say, off the charts. Messaging, talking, arguing, and it could be quite loud. Jupiter expands everything it touches. Mars likes to put in action and movement forward. These both are being conjunct in Gemini, which really speaks to any kind of communications of any sort. Could also apply to writing. And it can also apply to thinking too, where people, their heads are going to be, really active and wanting to put action into their words. So there's a lot of this that's going to be going on as well. We also have this Mars conjunct Jupiter squaring off Venus in Virgo. So what this also says to me, not only is there going to be a lot of, spontaneous is the best word I can come up with, discussions and arguments, but you're also going to have it not jibing with information, important information that comes out at this time that, you're being asked to look at. And this could just apply across the board in anything. Now, Venus can represent females too, so it could be that there will be some important female here that has some difficult but true and significant and important information for us to look at, right? Because that Venus is in Virgo, and Virgo represents facts and information, very much like the sign of Gemini and Mercury, which rules both those signs. But Virgo is more intent upon getting the accurate information, the important information. Gemini says, just give me information, right? Now, at its best, this can bring in or usher in, you say on an individual level, a lot of socializing and a lot of communicating, right? It can bring that in too. But it seems to me, on a global level, that there's going to be some hard facts and information brought to light that people aren't going to like, and they're going to push back on this day. And we also have that Mars conjunct Jupiter squaring Saturn. And as I mentioned, these combinations of planets forms what's called a T-square, which brings even more tension to the squares themselves, right? And so now we're looking at this volatile energy of Mars conjunct Jupiter squaring Saturn. And so it's the rules and regulations that are going to be challenged here, right? And this could actually be a challenge to those people that are in authority as well. My opinion of this whole full moon. It's going to be very volatile, a lot of unexpected things happening. It doesn't mean that you're going to go hide away from it this day. I think a lot of these things are going to be playing out on a global level, not necessarily with us in terms of a personal, individual thing happening. But certainly if you've got something, say, around 27 degrees of Aquarius and or 27 degrees of Leo, you could expect some kind of unexpected shift and change for yourself, right? And maybe that's going to be positive for some folks. All right, let's dial back now to the new moon in Leo. So to all my viewers and my clients that are Leos, this is your official new moon, the new start to the year. Congratulations and Happy New Year to you. So that new moon in Leo is at 12 Leo 34 minutes on the 4th of August at 4:14 a.m. and that's Pacific Daylight Time. So that would be early morning on the East Coast. We have the sun and moon, which are together. We'll have a wide sextile to Jupiter, which is going to be at 15 degrees of Gemini. And so this lends itself to lovely opportunities to expand the way we think, expand maybe something to do with our communications. Just new starts, generally speaking, right? So also at that new moon, we are going to have Venus at 29 degrees of Leo will be widely squaring Uranus. And so when we look at that 29 degree mark or degree point, it really brings a lot of the energies of the sign together at that time. And so here we're talking about what? Anything Venus. This could be literally women. Women, rising up. It can have our values being challenged. It can also bring in things like money Venus is also money as well. And so all these could be up for some kind of tension and challenge at this time, unexpectedly, with the Uranus square to it, right? Now, the other thing that's going to be happening, of course, is the same day that we have this new moon, we have Mercury going retrograde. It will be happening at 9:57 though p.m. Pacific Daylight Time, and it will go retrograde at 4 Virgo and 6 minutes. It will go direct later in August at 21 degrees of Leo on the 28th of August. So really, realistically, we are looking at a Mercury retrograde for the whole of August on top of everything else, right? Yeah, so this Mercury retrograde is in 2 signs. We start off with it in Virgo, and as I mentioned earlier, Virgo is all about service. It is about collecting information that's important. It can also have something to do with health as well. So it starts off with that. And then it goes retrograde back into Leo, going direct at 21 degrees of Leo on the 28th of August. So these are different energies now that the Mercury going direct will be at. So here we're talking about, at its best, the ability to start having fun. I mean, for sure, Leo is very much a sign that likes to have fun. It speaks to things like royalty. So there may be some big announcement that comes through royalty. I know I mentioned this last month too, but this could be the time where there's some announcements here about this. It's creative projects. So on an individual level, if you've got, say, these degree points tying into your chart, it could have you under some big discussions about contracts. Maybe there's going to be some folks that'll get some creative project completed at this time too. All right, so when we go a little bit forward now, almost mid-month, so this is the 14th and 15th of August, we have both Mars and Jupiter at 16 degrees of Gemini. Well, that, as you recall, 16 degrees of Gemini was where we had that whole new moon that was in Gemini at 16 degrees of Gemini, right? And that was back, let me just get the dates for you here. Yeah, that was back on the 6th of June. So something is going to be, if you've got this degree point, so we'll say 15, 16, 17 degrees of Gemini, or even the opposite sign of Sagittarius, you're going to have something activated here again. So whatever new thing came up, say towards the beginning of June this year, 2024, there's going to be some real big activation. I mean, Mars and Jupiter together can bring, fortunate action. So there might be some folks that have this degree point in their chart, where maybe you've been waiting around for a couple months to have something move forward in this new area. Now, typically we're talking about, this could be writing, communications of any sort, so maybe waiting for some communications. It can also entail, things like contracts as well. But I think this may also be this mid-month point. Maybe some kind of thing happens with regards to more action being taken out with regards to communications. Maybe even like Jupiter sometimes can also exaggerate. So there could be a lot of exaggerations that go on. That gets inflammatory, right? The inflammatory part is the Mars. So watch out there for that 14th, 15th of August. If you've got anything in your chart, like I mentioned, there's a combination of events here. But exaggeration on the world stage could be at an all-time high. All right, folks. When we look at September, get a little peek there, we have our first eclipse. Yeah, believe it or not. That first eclipse is going to be at 25 degrees of Pisces. Now, I did do an actual video on this. I'm going to put all the links below. But it also suggests potential themes or subjects of interest that may really start coming into view once we have those north nodes go into Pisces, which is going to be mid-January 2025. I've done a video on that too. North nodes in Pisces, link below. You might want to take a look at it. So just observe what comes up around this time at this eclipse. It's around 17th, 18th of September. I'll cover it obviously in my next video. We also have a new moon that's going to be at 11 degrees of Virgo. Pluto at this time goes to 29 degrees of Capricorn. And that was going to last till mid-November 2024. Pluto staying at that 29 degrees of Capricorn. And it'll be for the final time, it'll be at that degree point for our lifetime, right? Because Pluto is a very long cycle of about 250 years. All right, let's move on and take a look at your ascendants and or your sun signs. I suggest you look at both, but whatever resonates with you works for me. So Taurus, that new moon in Leo squares your sign, as does the full moon in Aquarius. So squares are just challenges. They ask us to think outside the box. It doesn't mean you will not achieve something positive. It just means you're going to have to put effort into this. Maybe even seek outside assistance to help you overcome some challenge. So we're going to start off with a new start in your 4th house. So maybe this is, for some Taurus, you bought a new home. Or you've sold a home. And this now turns out to be this new start of yours in a home involves you, because you've got the Mercury retrograde, looking back at the details of whatever it is. We'll just say it's a new home that you've bought. And you're going to have to go back over the details and get them sorted out. And the sorting out is going to take the whole of August. That's okay, that you're going to have to go back maybe to the buyer, the seller, and maybe your real estate agent, and say, look, some of these details need to be worked out. Or that they're obvious right at the time of you buying the place, that you're going to take the month of August of checking off that list to make sure everything's taken care of before you take over that new home. And it's just a little bit of a hassle, but at the end you get the reward of a home, right? So the 28th of August is when Mercury goes direct. Typically I like to wait a few days after that, but that is when Mercury goes direct at 21 degrees of Leo. So yeah, you're just going to have to pay attention to the devil's going to be in the details for you, Taurus, right? Now, there could also be some new start with regards to a family member. Typically, we're talking probably about your mother. And it may be something as simple as, your mother's bought a new home. She's on her own, and something has gone wrong in the home that requires you to step in to handle it. That's another thing that could happen. Straight off, there could be just some family arguments happening where you've got to make a new start here and be featured to help resolve these difficulties that are happening in a family situation. And, those types of things can be tricky sometimes. Think outside the box. Maybe check in with someone who's an expert that can give you good advice, or even work with you to get some of the issues resolved. When we look at that full moon in Aquarius squares your 10th house, and that moon, as well as the sun, squares Uranus at that full moon, right? So there's some unexpected things that are going to be happening in your career. Yeah, that's just straight off. Unexpected things happening in, the whole job that you're doing. Now, this could play out as something that doesn't necessarily directly happen to you, Taurus. Something unexpected happens to, say, a CEO, a vice president, maybe even your top boss or manager that you report to. They suddenly leave for whatever reason. And it presents a challenge to you doing your career and your job. It's a culmination here, so it's an ending of some sort. For some Taurus, you're just going to say, I've had enough with this career. I'm going to end it. And it comes as a surprise to other people hearing it. Or something surprising happens with regards to your career that makes you decide to take some kind of action that will require a few steps to enact whatever it is you want to enact in terms of tying stuff up. So it may be that you, say for some Taurians, they want to end this career and job. but they can't just leave it right now. And so this square is saying, sort out all the details, make everything a win-win situation so when you leave, you don't burn a bridge. And that's one thing I would really caution you about, Taurus. If you are getting angry at work and upset at work, maybe by other people, try to take that 10,000-foot view and say, what can I do creatively here to resolve the issues and protect myself? And maybe it is leaving the career, that job. But take the time to also look around for unexpected opportunities, maybe in another career, because they may be there for you, right? Again, you're just going to have to put some effort into it, and that's okay. You can still get it resolved. But there's some unexpected things that are going to happen in your career that you can't really forecast for right now. Let's hope those are positive changes for you and that you land on some fabulous new career. You certainly have social media involved here, or a humanitarian component, because it is in Aquarius. Take care of yourself, Taurus. All right, everybody. I'm wishing everybody a great time here in August. There's a lot of energy flying around. I only ask that you take care with driving with that Mercury retrograde, care with your words. If you are being irritated and you feel like you want to lash out, it doesn't mean you shouldn't say something, but I ask that, especially in the month of August, you take that 10,000-foot view and try to look at things as a win-win situations where you can put your thoughts forward and opinions, but respect others too, right? All right. Take care of yourself, everybody. Sending everybody lots of love. Bye for now. So I'd just like to remind all my viewers and clients of my services. You can find them on my website, of course, and all the details of that are below. But I do a tarot combo astrology reading for $50. It's my only pre-recorded one, unless specifically a client asks for me to pre-record a Zoom call for them. But I do other things too. I can do your just your transits and progress chart for this birthday year. As an option, I can do a full-on horoscope look at all your astrology, including an in-depth analysis of your natal astrology and then progress charts, and then all the transits on top of that. I can do that as well. So check me out. As I said, I've got all my details below. Send me an email with your birth details and a question or area of life that you're interested in me focusing on. I do a Zoom video, whether it's pre-recorded or live, with you to go over all these details.